Well, the story behind 7 Miles Out was that through running Young Stockport Film Festival, we were looking to find a venue in Stockport where we could show short films. We'd been to a couple of events in Manchester, so for example the Black Lion in Salford, and a place like the Corner House had evenings where they would show short films, and we wanted to do something similar but in Stockport. And we started looking around the market area and we were like, maybe we could do it in a pub. Unfortunately, we were looking at the Bull's Head, and the week that we did it closed down. So it was becoming increasingly difficult to find an appropriate space to be able to do our ambition, which was show short film outside of a cinema in a more sort of intimate environment. So then, whether it's foolishly or not, we decided, well, why don't we just create the venue? Why don't we create a space that Stockport doesn't have in the minute, an arts centre, but a space which is effectively for the local community, where it could be multifunctional, it could be a flexible space, so we can have all sorts of different things take place in it. So it could be home to film nights, but also poetry nights, music, open mic nights, comedy nights, anything which would give local creatives in Stockport just that vehicle and platform to be able to run a night and show what they can do and bring it all together. So we had that idea, and then the Porters pilot came along in Stockport, and I was approached by Stockport Council to do the video because of the videos that we were doing with Young Stockport, making giving places like Roughly's bike show, the event, a platform and filming that, but also all the different videos we were doing for charity. Stockport Council approached us, saw what we were doing and said, could you film the Porters pilot video? And we said, yeah, of course we will, but on the condition that we can get actively involved, because we've got this idea for an art space that we think that, having read the Porters review, it matched exactly what Mary Porters was talking about in terms of bringing social capital back to the high street and bringing that element of community as being vital to our, trying to revive our struggling town centres. So we put the idea forward. Long story short, there was a rough, rocky road ahead, as there always is with local politics. But we eventually got to the point where we were in a position to be able to identify a space and run the project, which was amazing, especially when you consider the economic environment that we're currently in. To be able to open up an arts centre was just an amazing opportunity, and one which actually, I had to make a big decision, which was whether or not I stayed at university. I was at Manchester University, whether I stayed and finished my degree there, or basically had to leave uni and dedicate my time to trying to get this space open. And it was a tough decision, but I ended up leaving university, and it was a big thing for me at the time, because I had to dedicate all my time to trying to put forward a business plan, but also obviously liaise with landlords and get an appropriate space. And I think it all paid off in the end, because we ended up identifying a space which used to be Chafe Solicitors, and for a long time had been on the marketplace. It was used for storage, so it was completely underutilised space in the marketplace. And when we came in, there was old carpets, there were filing cabinets everywhere. It used to be a building society, so the way it was structured was like you come in like you would do a bank, and it just sort of was a bit dull and dusty, and it didn't inspire much sort of enthusiasm or excitement when you came in. And our mission was simple. We had to try and transform it into a space which would be colourful, inviting, and would capture people's imaginations. And we had to do, because of the budget wasn't very big, we had to do a lot of the work ourselves. We got the help of people like Paul Downs, the market manager, to come in and help us, tearing up the carpets, taking down partitions. And it was very DIY, it really was. But we had an idea of what we wanted the space to be, as open plan as possible. And we had to do things like some of the walls were just caving in, and we had to put up new walls. And we had our fantastic mural that was done by a local artist, Bob Oxley, and that to me is the centrepiece now of 7 Miles Out. And he came, and over a period of about 2 weeks he came, and he basically painted a whole wall for us. So what we've created now, as you'll see, is just hopefully a very sort of inviting, colourful, unique, quirky place, which a lot of people come in, and because it's so different to what people usually experience on the high street, they're really taken aback, hopefully in a good way. So we've been able to run, since our opening in, sort of last year. We've been open for nearly 2 years now. We've run all sorts of different events. We kicked off with a winter fireside event in our courtyard, which basically was at Christmas and brought local families together. Our local artist Sophie Tyrrell led on that, and we've done all sorts of different events in 7 Miles Out over the 2 years that we've existed, and the reaction that we get is incredibly positive from people. The name 7 Miles Out is obviously important. It comes from a boutique emporium that used to be in Stockport in the late 60s and early 70s, and we wanted to sort of take that history, that cultural history of Stockport, and make it come to life, and sort of just give it a new lease of life in a new space. So whenever people, of a certain generation are walking through the market and they see 7 Miles Out, they pop in, and my dad will speak to them about what we're doing, and obviously he remembers 7 Miles Out. So it's been a really successful initiative, and it's been a big learning curve in terms of just how to create a space which does engage with the local community. And part of the reason why we exist was because not enough people come to this part of the town. So we've been, it's been difficult for us in the sort of day-to-day, because obviously people still out of the habit of coming. But whenever we do events, the kind of support we get is amazing. So we recently had a book signing by Carol Morley. Carol was a guest at Young Stockport Film Festival, and when she came to Stockport, we showed her 7 Miles Out. She's actually from Stockport, and she's gone away and written a fictional autobiography called 7 Miles Out. So hopefully she was inspired by a visit to Stockport. We had a book signing here, and Maxine Peake came as a guest, and there were loads of people here, and they got to meet Maxine, they got to meet Carol and get the book signed. And that was just, in a nutshell, that's the kind of events that we run, and the support that we get is always amazing, which I'm really, truly grateful for the people of Stockport.